Additional aids and services are available to individuals with disabilities. To make such a request, please contact us by email by clicking the Help tab in the PD portal or at pdportal@tamu.edu, by phone including Relay Texas at 1-800-441-7323, or in writing to Train PD, PD Portal Support, 4477 TAMU, College Station, Texas 77843. Both a transcript and accessible document of the content presented in this webinar can be found as resources in the course description. Click on the blue links under Course Resources in the description. When a link is clicked, a new browser window will open.
Today is our Tech and Tell. This is Miro Whiteboards Unite Us All Part 1. And our presenter is Dr. Jennifer Hills. I'm really excited about this presentation. Always like to learn about new tools. I am Krista Mosier. I am going to introduce to you Jennifer Hills. Dr. Hills is a seasoned educator and entrepreneur with over 25 years of experience in multi-generational education. Dr. Hills currently serves as a professional development manager at Dallas College, where she enhances learning experiences through strategic planning and curriculum innovation. As the founder and CEO of the Leadership Academy of Creative Arts in Dallas, Texas, Jennifer leads efforts to create inclusive, family-centered programs that empower students of all ages. Dr. Hills also specializes in adult education and HyFlex learning modalities, designing innovative solutions that provide flexibility and accessibility for learners, balancing work, family, and education. Passionate about advancing opportunities for underserved communities, Jennifer focuses on addressing systemic barriers to education by creating flexible, goal-oriented programs. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for that awesome introduction. Greetings and welcome in, everybody. Welcome to Miro Whiteboards Unite Us All. As Krista mentioned, I am Dr. Jennifer Hills, and I will be running this presentation today. So let's jump into it. For today's objectives, we are going to analyze the features of Miro to determine Miro's ability to enhance collaborative projects and team workflows. We are also going to demonstrate how to navigate and utilize Miro's platform by creating and customizing collaborative boards. Lastly, we are going to evaluate the effectiveness of Miro as a digital collaboration tool by reflecting on its usability and potential impact on learning outcomes. So these are all the things that we're going to be working on today. And hopefully by the end of this session, you will have a great tool that you can implement either in your classrooms or in your workspaces when you're working with your colleagues. I would like to introduce to you, Miro. This is a good example of what Miro looks like, and this is a board that I have used in my classroom when we are working on the different pieces of an essay. So Miro is an interactive and collaborative tool that allows your students to be in one space, working on a variety of things, collaborating in real time with one another. You can use Miro to brainstorm. You can use Miro to organize ideas. You can use Miro to organize your meetings with your peers. And even if you're having those professional learning communities, our PLCs, you can use Miro to help formulate and format your meeting. We're going to be jumping into this a little bit. And for part one, I'm going to be showing you basically the components of Miro. Let us jump into what is Miro.
Miro
I'm
is a
ready.
versatile online collaborative whiteboard platform designed to facilitate teamwork and creativity.
Again, this is a powerful, versatile collaboration whiteboard. It is very good at facilitating teamwork. It sparks creativity. It is very intuitive and easy to use.
Miro allows users to create, collaborate, and visualize ideas in real time, making it ideal for remote and in-person collaboration.
That is correct. That is exactly what Miro is all about with that collaboration. And I left that period out on purpose because there's a lot more that you can do with Miro. And I did not want it to end there because Miro can be a plethora of things, including thinking charts, different type of brainstorming ideas. You can even create workflows like you would do in Slack or in other applications where you're creating those workflows and who does what. So I love using Miro for that. So there's another thing that I want to make sure we understand about Miro. And that is that with Miro, we are able to have that real-time collaboration. Sometimes when you're working on Google Docs, I don't know if you guys have noticed this with Google Docs or Google Slides, when you have that real-time collaboration, when someone is typing, it's very easy for someone to click right in the middle of someone typing and start typing on top of it. And you got to move things around. With Miro, you kind of can get away from that because you can see exactly where people are pointing. And if someone is clicking something to write in, it makes it harder for someone else to write on top of what they are writing. Hopefully that makes sense for anyone who has used a collaboration tool like Google Docs or Google Slides. Miro is also accessible across devices. Now, what does that mean? That means that you can download the Miro platform on your phone as an app, or you can use it as a web on your app. You can also do that on the tablet as well as computers. So you can use Miro on any device. I have used this in many of my classrooms, and whether students were on telephones, tablets, computers, they were able to engage in the Miro board. I will give this disclaimer. It is more Google friendly than anything. So it works best for students who have Gmail accounts. And that's just something you have to keep in mind when you're sharing this with your students. Miro also has pre-built templates. So you don't have to create anything. I can't wait to show you guys those templates when we jump into this. It also has easy integration, meaning you can log in with your Gmail. You can log in with your Teams, your Microsoft Outlook. You can log in with Slack. You can integrate a lot of different platforms into Miro. And then Miro also has different apps that can be integrated into the Miro board. Very different than Jamboard. Lastly, there's a free and pro version. The free version, I love it. Even though it has limits, the limits are far, 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 far from stopping you from doing what you need to do on your Miro. You get 3 free Miro boards, and then if you want to create additional boards, the boards that you have created turns into just read-only boards. And you can always toggle your boards from read-only to being able to edit. But with 3 boards, there are so many things you can do on this Miro. This is another Miro that I have created with a class where in an ESL class, we were going through talking about who is responsible for what. And the students just put their sticky notes here on my tablet and put their answers there. So again, it can be used in different ways for a variety of our students and their needs, of course. Are you consistently recycling your 3 Miro boards for each class? No, I am not recycling. I am using Miro to its advantage, and I'm going to show you what I'm talking about when we jump into that board. I haven't had to recycle yet, but as I continue to use this, I can see how when I am done with one board, I can just make another one and the old boards just become read only because the students won't really need to engage in them anymore. Here we go. Name one barrier that you have experienced with integrating digital collaboration tools in your classroom. What is one barrier?
Stubbornness.
Welcome to the podcast show. Let me know. Talk to me about that stubbornness. What do you mean?
Sometimes you have students who are not tech savvy, and instead of saying, I'm not tech savvy, they get stubborn to where they don't want to do that. And they want to learn old school ways. They want you to stand in front of the classroom, write on a chalkboard, and just helping them to open their mind to different aspects of learning sometimes can be difficult, especially when you're integrating digital collaboration tools in the classroom.
That is so true. Sometimes earth is very hard to move. It is hard to move a mountain, but it is not impossible. And so what I extend to my students who may be giving me some pushback, even if they are having technical difficulties, lack of support, or as you mentioned, just being stubborn with moving and experiencing and open up their minds to new things, I just encourage them to just try it anyway because the world is moving and there are going to be digital tools in the workplace. But I'm also flexible with my students. And if they run into any issues, I am there to provide them support along the way. That lack of support, we have to be the support for our students in order to make them have fun with these type of things. And we kind of got to make our engagement better, make it fun for them so that they want to jump in there and get started. Okay, it is time for us to jump in and explore Miro, but I could not jump in without showing you one more of my Miro boards that I have created for students. This one was working on facts versus opinion, which for some students get confused with true or false. It's not the same thing. Facts are backed up by data and statistics, and opinions are just things people think. So this is a Miro board we created where students were able to sticky note what they thought the answer was. And then as a group, we decided if it was a fact or an opinion. And then they were able to go into their individual notebook paper cards that they can zoom in and write their explanation of how they knew this was a fact versus an opinion. So many different things that you can create on Miro. Let's go ahead and jump into our Miro board to see how we can get started. So this is the first thing you'll see on the Miro screen. That you can learn more about Miro, and the website just shows you different things about Miro. Who are their sponsors? What can you get out of Miro? So if you want to jump into here and learn more about Miro after this session, you can definitely do so. What I am going to do is I'm going to go ahead and log in. But if you do not have an account, you can definitely sign up for free. And you don't have to do that during this session. On part 2, we'll definitely talk about how to sign up and get into Miro. But today I'm just showing you the ins and outs of Miro so that you can get a general look of what it is and how does it work. And you can sign up with your work email, or you can sign up with Google, Microsoft, or Slack. So again, that goes that easy integration. If you do not have any of these, just use your work emails. Right away, I am taken to my teacher dashboard area. This is where I am able to create or jump into Miros that I have already created. This is also where I can invite members, but this is a paid component of Miro. And as we can see here, I'm using Miro free. Up here, we have our notification bell. And then we have where we can log into our profile and check out different things like the marketplace, upgrade, our trash, and even log out. On the left-hand side, we have our home, our recent, and our starred. Some of us know these things. Recent is where our recent Miros that we worked on will be placed, and starred will show our favorite Miros that we have starred as favorites. At the top here, you have a quick link area where you can quickly push one of these and start a Miro board right away. You can click here at the bottom, or actually in the middle, to explore templates. I'm going to open this up. And what I have noticed about Miro, and I am knocking on wood as I say this because I don't want to say it too loud. There are so many free templates that you can use. I have not seen too many of them where it's like you have to upgrade your account. So please take advantage just look at this very interactive template that you can definitely edit to be your own. There's just so many different templates. And of course, if you're somebody like me, as doctors would call it, I have ADHD. But as artists will call it, which I am an artist, I have creative energy. And with creative energy, it can become quite overwhelming to look through all of these and decide, oh my gosh, which one am I going to use? So backwards planning is also very helpful when doing your Miro board so that you can think about what you want to do first and then go in and grab the template that works best to what you're trying to create. So with the way that my brain is set up, the best thing for me to do is just to create a new blank board. And I can do so by clicking Create New and create a new board. I cannot create a space because, as we can see, anything with an arrow and a circle around it is going to be an upgraded feature. So I'm trying to get on my free zone. So I'm going to create a blank board. I can do so here, or with the click of a quick link, I can click here and it will create a blank board. Voila. Here is my blank Miro board. Now, of course, it's asking me, hey, do you want to create with the template? Not yet. We'll come back to this. So let's go back to the top with our Miro board. If I am to click this Miro image right here, it will take me back to my teacher dashboard. That is just a quick way to get to your teacher dashboard by clicking Miro. Next, we have our little thumbnail. If you're creating a thinking map or you want to do some goal setting, you can always change the icon to look like what you are working on. And then to name your Miro, you simply click the title, type it in, and press enter. Notice that my Miro is automatically saved. I absolutely love that because I am someone who will forget to save and then will turn off my computer before saving and lose all of my stuff. So I'm glad that it automatically saves. If I need to change it, I just click it again and I can add my extra information and it's saved automatically. Next, we have our menu board here. This is our 3-dot menu option, where we're able to have menu options for the board. We can create a new board, duplicate, move this board, make it a favorite. Maybe you're someone who wants to change the background. Maybe you want a dark background, or maybe you want a pink background. You can definitely change the color setting. This start view is going to be very important because on your Miro board, the Miro can get as zoomed out as you want to, and it's just an unlimited board, so you can put so much stuff on here. But if you want your students to focus on a particular area of the board, then you can use the start view option, which will zoom your students right into what they should be looking at in case you have a Miro board with a lot of things on it. So that start view is very important for that board. I love that you can go into your history. And again, if you want to see some things that you did in the past or restore an earlier version of your Miro board, you can do that. And then one of the most important things is the accessibility checker. It is built in right into the Miro, and you're able to check to see if your Miro is accessible for your students. And we'll be looking at this today when we build our board. The edit has the typical editing things: undo, redo, commands, and find. For the view, you can change if you don't want the grid in the background, or if you're somebody like me, I love a good dot grid. I love dot grid journals. You can turn on the dot grid option, which I'm going to keep on. But if you like line grids, you can use that as well. Once everybody gets on, you're going to see all of these collaborative cursors. That can be sensory overload for students who have sensory issues. So if you have someone in your classroom who gets overwhelmed with a lot of things moving and flashing, this is where you're able to toggle on and off those different things so that they cannot see it. And you can also enter full screen. You have your preference menu here, where you're able to choose if you have a trackpad or a mouse. Do you want to follow the threads? And then if you have an interactive display or a smart board or a Pythagorean mirror board, you can definitely connect this to your smart board to make your Miro even more interactive. You just need to follow the prompts here to connect your board. Of course, this is our export button. our upgrade button. And then if we hop over, we have our reactions here. When your students are working, or even sometimes they love these reactions to put them themselves while you're teaching, you're able to just drop reactions. A lot of other things under our reaction area must be upgraded, but guess what? The most important and my favorite thing they left for free. You can put notes straight in your Miro. Why would I want to do this? Some of my students are microwaves. Do you guys have microwaves in your classroom? Those are students who are always like, I'm done, I'm done, I'm done. Awesome. And then as I was saying, all of these are upgraded features, but the note feature is one of the best. So why would I use this? And we were talking about those microwaves. I'm done. I'm done. I love to put a to-do list here for those who get done quickly. When you are done, or they love to be called microwaves, for my microwaves, here are the things to do once you're done with the Miro board. And you can put that straight into your Miro and students are able to see that. Awesome. The next thing is the activity feed. So after everyone is putting things in your Miro board, you can keep up with the activity that everyone's doing by checking out that activity feed. The next thing would be the record button. I love this option because once we look at the Miro, it can be very big and it can be intimidating to students, but you're able to record yourself walking through the Miro board, telling them exactly what they need to do. And then you can post this on the Miro board so that they can watch it or listen to it and follow along with it while they are completing their assignments. And this is a talk track. Lastly, you have your menu item where you can jump into your profile. You're able to present your whole board or share your board with people to interact into it. Okay, so I'm moving down to the bottom here. This bottom part is very important for students because this is where they're able to get help with resources and the Learning Center. They're actually able to toggle on the shortcuts. The shortcuts work very well on our Miro. And this is especially important for people who may not have a mouse. I've had to deal with not having a mouse before in the 90s at that and had to learn shortcuts. So these shortcuts are very good to use. For example, if I press the letter T on my Miro board, it will open up a feature for me to have a text box to type. And there it is. All I have to do is press the letter T and I'm able to type. So those shortcuts are very useful to use. We also have our zoom toggle where students are able to zoom in and out as far as they need to view the board. And then we have our area for framing. Because there's nothing on our board, we do not have frames yet. But as you create your Miro boards, frames are going to become important, and we'll talk about frames as we hop over to our integration panel. This is where we're going to see those frames come to life. So the first thing is our AI tool right here, Create with AI, and this is a paid tool. You do run out of free AI points. So keep that in mind when you're using it. The best feature for here, because I think AI still has room to grow, but one thing I like is if I want to create directions for something, let's just say I want to say create directions for writing an essay for my students. And I may have run out of my AI points, so it may not work, but let's see if I can generate this document. Let's see what it says. I'm out of AI credits until January the 31st. But what this would do is it would pull up an actual assignment for your students and type out the directions very clear for your students to know exactly what to do and import it right into the Miro board. So feel free to use that AI, but keep in mind there's a limited amount and it gives you a time when you can start it again. So my AI credits will not renew again until the end of this month. Bummer, but that's okay. This arrow here just toggles between the cursor, which is your mouse. You see how I have an arrow, or a hand, which is able to grab and pick up the whole Miro board and move it around. Our next icon is the templates. So again, if you start with a blank board, you can always enter a template into here. And so I'm just going to choose one at random. You can preview your template to see how it looks first, and then it gives you an option to use pre-filled template or a blank template. So I'm going to use a pre-filled template. Actually, I'm going to see if I can try to find a KWL. So I'm going to type in KWL. Look at that. Here it is. And I'm going to use this template. Right away, it has put a KWL chart into my Miro. And let's just say I wanted this just to be a small part of my Miro. I'm going to make it as teeny tiny as possible. You see how tiny I've made this? This is why I say you don't have to refurbish old boards, because this is very little. Do you know how many KWL charts I can put in here? But students can zoom in to this small KWL chart and still fill it in. So once you finish things, you can also make them small so they don't take up much space. But if you want your students to see it and go to it right away, you can make it bigger so that they can definitely see it and go straight to it. All right, let's look at another template. Are all the templates free? If not, can I filter by the word free? When you're looking at the templates, and I'm going to go to Agile Workflows because that's where I first start seeing templates that cost. Again, there are so many that are free. It's harder for me to find the templates that cost than it is for me to find the free templates. All of these are free. I don't see anything that's telling me that it's not free. And look at that. I've just uploaded a big old calendar into my Miro for free. And now I can work with my team. We can plan together. We can brainstorm together. It's really hard to find the ones that cost. I'm going to look one more time just to see if I can find one. This is the symbol we're looking for, is this arrow with a circle. So any of them that has the arrow with the circle are going to be the ones that are not free. And again, I've just been searching. It's hard to find them. So you don't really have to toggle. Take advantage of it before they realize there's so many of them that are free. So let's talk about how my students are going to work on this. I'm going to zoom in into our KWL chart. Students can type things right into the box. Hello. But let's say you don't really want them to do these boxes. You can delete them and you can have students use sticky notes. And as you can see, sticky notes shortcut is the letter N. So if they click the letter N on their computer, it opens up our sticky note panel, just like Jamboard said. So students are able to drag and drop sticky notes right onto the Miro and type their answer. Just like that. Now, I do have students who are on their phone, and it may be hard for them to open this up and pick this and do that. That's a lot on the phone. So I love using the stack mode and the bulk mode. For stacks, what I can do as an instructor when I am planning out my Miro is grab a stack of stickies, place them close to my Miro board, kind of move it over here. Here it is. I can change the color of my sticky notes. I can change the size of my sticky notes. And now students only have to just grab it from here and put it on here. And there are tons of stickies on my sticky stack. It doesn't run out. And they're able to just grab those stickies right away and put it onto the Miro board. So I love using that. Keep that in mind when you have a board going on and you don't want students to run out of stickies. Use that sticky stack. You can also upload in bulk mode, and that's when, let's say you're working on facts versus opinion, and you want them to do stickies on facts and do stickies on opinions. They're able to just grab that sticky in bulk mode, put it here, and then write their fact underneath. And that way you don't have to keep writing, okay, I need to write one with an opinion. I need to write one with a fact. They're able to go into that bulk mode and choose the sticky that they need based on the bulk access. Let me just show you guys one more thing before we move on to these other options. When you are doing different fun things with your students, or you want to kind of get to know them, let's see if we can do get to know. Just type that in and find different templates that you can use where students can set up little profiles on the Miro and talk about who they are. Look at this bingo template that you can use. We can preview this one. You want to do an icebreaker, you can type in icebreaker, and then this is not something you have to create. It's already here. And these are 10 terrific icebreakers you can use for your classroom. And if we use the template, it will upload all 10 of these into your Miro. Now, let's say it did that and you didn't want all 10, or even like this calendar. I really do not want this calendar. What I can do is highlight this calendar and press delete, and it will be deleted from my Miro board. And now I am looking for the next thing by going to my templates and choosing another one. We've talked about this text box before. You can use the text box to type words. We have shapes and lines in case you want to use shapes and lines to build flowcharts or anything that is relevant to building things on your Miro. But keep in mind, anything with an arrow next to it, like these AWS icons, these are only for upgraded features. Our next icon here, we already talked about our sticky stack, tools and media integration. So if I click here, this is where I can have my pen and free draw. We talked about frames, and I'm going to show you how to use a frame. You can also do emojis and comments, but I'm going to show you what I really like about this one. Let's say I want to enter a mind map, a note. We have layers. We have different planning things. Let's say I want to do a chart. If I wanted to enter a chart on the board, I can do that. Oh, this is a chat, not a chart. Excuse me. Let me try that again. But again, if you wanted to chat, this is a good feature. You can enter a chat board straight on your Miro, and you can have your students chat with each other instead of in the classroom. Again, if you want to build a table to enter different information, maybe you're teaching your students how to put different things together and create a table showing their results, they can do this straight on the Miro board. Let me just put another example. I'm just going to grab a chart here and place it in our Miro board just so I can show you more about the frames. So right now, this Miro does not have a frame. In order to get it a frame, I'm going to hit this frame button. As you can see, all of my other things that I've put up on here have frames, but I want to do a new frame. So I'm going to click add a frame by clicking the plus button. And I'm going to take that frame, added a frame, and I'm going to highlight the parts that I want framed. Do it this way. So I'm going to click my frame. I did that by going to the apps and grabbing the frame option. Here is my frame right here. It's small, but what I can do is toggle it around the area that I want framed in. Just this one right here. This is what I want framed. Why is that important? Because if I want to present this Miro to a whole group, I can press present and it will just present this frame instead of all the other things that I have on my Miro board. And from here, I can also watch my students toggle and work on the Miro board while they're working in this frame. So again, that is why frames are important. And as you can see here, just like in presentation mode, I can hop from the different frames that I may have on my Miro board, but you want to make sure that your frame is actually around the board so that it can be shown in Zoom on your Miro. I want to go into my Miro playground. I am going to share my link with you, and I have 2 Miros that I've created just by using templates. What I want you to do is join this Miro, and if you feel tech savvy, answer our questions here by, like this says, how can you use Miro going forward? You're going to double click on a sticky note and put your answer in. So see if you can answer any of these 4 questions on our Miro anchor board, or you can jump down to our favorite food Miro here and give me your vote on which one of these is your favorite food. And I love that Claire is in here because Claire is giving a great example of how Claire is moving around. I can follow where Claire is. I see her name and her Miro icon following around on the board. Let's see if we can get anybody else in this Miro. You may need to log in with Google. Remember, I said that before. It's easier if you log in with Google while you are working on this Miro. I'm going to zoom into what Claire is doing so that we can see what Claire is doing for anyone else who may not be in. So Claire's answering, how can you use the Miro going forward? Claire said, group research paper. Great job. And as you can see, Claire has clicked this. I am unable to click it and write on top of Claire words. So this is why it's, to me, better than Google Docs, because again, I can't type when Claire is typing, but if Claire is done, now I can hop on here and say, good job. Add that feedback if I need to. I can also add a comment to say, way to go. And now that comment has been linked to Claire's post. When you click that link, you may need to sign in using Google. That is the only thing that could cause a headache for some of our students. I normally ask them, do you guys have Gmail? And if they do, okay, you're going to need your Gmail to log in. And for those of you who are on the Miro, remember we have two. We have one, an anchor chart where you can reflect on what you've learned, what's a challenge that you may see, what are some future risks that you may see with using Miro with your students. And then we have a favorite food vote. Is it pasta? Is it pizza? Is it nachos, burger, or fried rice? You can always check to see who's in the Miro here. It's a full party. And again, if I want to toggle those cursors off where I don't see people moving around because it's just too much for my students, I can turn that off. And I can turn it back on. And I'm just going to zoom in. Here is a group of people here all congregating on the Miro board, adding sticky notes, playing around. Awesome job, everybody. I'm happy that 9 of us were able to get in this Miro board and be interactive. I'm going to hop back over to my presentation here.
My question is about the sharing that you did with the link, because you initially said that, of course, sharing is at a price. So how did you do it and made it free? How did you make
That's a
it free?
great question. And let me clarify what I meant by saying sharing is a price. To share this board, let's say you and I are instructors, and I want you to build on this board with me. That will cost. If I wanted you to actually put a Miro board on this board with me, and then we get our students to interact, I can have you on there with me building the board, but I can send it to my students to interact on the board by sharing this copy team invite link. Okay, so this one will be free for the students, but again, I couldn't collaborate with you on this board unless we upgrade it. You as an instructor. Awesome, awesome, awesome. I do want to plug in that I hope that we were able to do our objectives today, which was to analyze the features of Miro, demonstrate how to navigate and use Miro, and evaluate the effectiveness of Miro. And then I also want you to keep in mind that there is going to be a part 2 session. And in part 2, we're going to jump in and start building boards together.
Awesome, Dr. Hills. Thank you so much for a fantastic presentation. What a cool tool.
We hope you enjoyed this pre-recorded webinar. After you have passed the final test with a score of 80% or greater and have received your certificate of completion, please take a few moments to complete the course evaluation. Participant feedback helps Train PD at TCAL continue to provide high-quality professional development. To leave a course feedback, please go to the completed portion of your transcript. To do this, hover over the My Learning tab and select View Your Transcript. Click on the drop-down arrow next to the word Active and select Completed. Then, Click Evaluate in the drop-down menu next to the course you just completed. Please note that your feedback is greatly appreciated.